Hi guys, it's Coach King and Miss Naughton will be joining us soon. We're going to be starting our new unit on catastrophic events. We're going to talk about what they are and how they affect the ecosystems that we've been studying.
Hi guys, make sure you get a pen and paper, take down all the notes, and come to class Wednesday when it is due, and be prepared to take a quiz over. What is a catastrophic event? All right, it's a disaster event, either made by nature or caused by man, that causes widespread damage or death. And it really does affect the different ecosystems. So that's what we're studying. How does it affect the ecosystems? And Ms. King will do the first one.
All right, the first catastrophic event we're going to talk about are hurricanes. They are destructive weather systems which involve strong winds, heavy rain, and thunder. They have winds that exceed 80 miles per hour, causing flooding and damage that results in injury and death. How it affects the ecosystem: we have houses, building, cars, and other vehicles are ruined and people are killed. Most plants that are not secured to the ground will be blown away, affecting other animals and plants, eliminating possible food choices. Erosion: land is washed away, and the downpour of rain can cause severe flooding. And we are familiar with one of the more recent ones was Hurricane Katrina that happened in Louisiana, where everyone had to be evacuated. You saw people standing at the tops of roofs of houses trying to save their lives because they didn't listen to the weather report and say you needed to get out sooner. And unlike animals, humans have a tendency to want to stick around and save everything they can. Animals are smart enough to take off.
All right, the next one is flooding. Personally, I've been involved in a flood when I was 6 years old in 1972 in New Braunfels. A massive flood hit New Braunfels, and we lived up on a hill, and my entire city of New Braunfels was practically wiped out. I remember going with my family to clean out houses that were completely underwater. I mean, houses were gone, trees were ripped up, roads were gone, the yards were gone. It totally destroyed the ecosystem that was in the hill country of New Braunfels. So I have a personal relationship with flooding. So they can be very detrimental to ecosystems. The first one, excessive rain is what causes flooding. And as you can see, the effects of flooding, landslides or instability of earth is one effect of it. Things move when you get too much water in the ground. Mud and earth will start moving, which can cause a lot of things to happen. Trees to get ripped up and plants to be destroyed, and basically homes sliding off the edge of the river. Second thing of flooding is the destruction of crops. They literally drown. And when crops are destroyed, food is destroyed, and it's a big part of the ecosystem. The third thing would be chemicals and other industrial waste get into the water, because in cities, sometimes where it floods, there are chemicals, gas stations, plants, all industries that use chemicals that can be put in the water, and it's detrimental to everything that's growing around that and to the people and their water supply. So floods really do affect the ecosystem.
All right, next one are tornadoes. A lot of y'all are familiar with tornadoes. They are whirlwinds, commonly called. Some people chase tornadoes. And the damage that comes from them are because of the strong winds. They can exceed as high as 300 miles per hour. And there's 3 categories of damage. You can have light damage, which some damage to chimneys and TV antennas. They break twigs off of trees and they push shallow rooted trees over. Or we can have moderate damage, which is like medium damage, and it peels surface off of roofs. Windows are broken. The light trailer houses are pushed and overturned. Trees are uprooted and snapped, and you've seen movies about tornadoes where the tree gets caught up in the tornado whirlwind and gets put several miles away from its origin. And then the last one is incredible damage, and houses are completely tossed off their frame, kind of like in The Wizard of Oz, and Dorothy and her house ends up in a different area because of the tornado. and automobiles become missiles because they are traveling at high rates of speed and will damage whatever they land into.
All right, the next one is the tsunami. And living where we live, we really don't have to deal with these tsunamis. They're many times, communities that are found next to the ocean. But a tsunami is basically a giant wave. Usually it's caused by a volcanic eruption or earthquake underwater. And what it does is it forms this huge deep sea wave, sometimes up to 30 to 40 miles per hour underwater. This wave will travel until it encounters the land. It comes suddenly. Many times there's no warning. Sri Lanka was the last one a few years ago in December. The whole island was wiped out. The wave hit the island before people even knew. And thousands of lives were lost. The whole island was practically destroyed due to the tsunami. Some of the effects, they basically tear up everything in their path. They tear up trees, plants, grass, vegetations, buildings, everything, because water is such a huge, incredible force. And another danger is not only does it wipe out the ecosystem that it hits, once it hits, the water goes back out in the ocean. So any debris that it picks up, it will pull that debris back out into the ocean, and it can really harm the marine life and the ecosystems that live in the ocean. Chemicals, trucks, houses, trees all end up back in the ocean that can have a great effect on the ecosystem. This is one of the most damaging catastrophic events there are.
Okay, and our next one, forest fires. Obviously, they're caused by fires. Sometimes accidental. You're out camping, you leave a fire going, and then it catches and blooms. It's often most dangerous when you have dry areas, like when you had long periods without rain, because then the trees are easily to catch on fire and become kindle for a fire that can get out of control. All right, the effects are that they can increase the greenhouse effect by increasing the gases that are put into our atmosphere, which causes our pollution to increase as well as global warming. They also have an important role in deforestation and depletion of wildlife. The wildlife loses their home with the forest fire and have to go find another habitat to live in, hopefully somewhere close by. If not, then they might not be able to survive because they're unable to adapt to the fact that they've lost their home. And it also affects us because a lot of times people try to stay and protect their homes, but when it's an engulfing flame, it can overtake you quickly and you can die from smoke inhalation, or some people just don't get out fast enough and get caught in the fire.
All right, another catastrophic event, of course, is earthquakes. What causes an earthquake? It's a result from a sudden release of energy in the Earth's crust that creates seismic waves. It can cause mudslides, fires, floods, or tsunamis. So an earthquake can lead to other natural disasters or catastrophic events, and they can be found all over the earth. Earthquakes can happen. Most of the time they're found along fault lines. California is real famous for it. You heard of Haiti in the last few years that had a massive earthquake, and it really did, that island is practically destroyed. Some effects on the ecosystem: it can cause soil to lose its strength and go from a solid to a liquid. And of course, huge gaping holes can engulf trees and homes and everything in its path. Uproot trees if located near the site of the actual earthquake. Damage buildings and other structures if close to the site of the earthquake. And you got to remember, ecosystems are living and non-living things. So all of this can happen. Earthquakes happen in the city as well as out in the middle of the ocean, anywhere on the earth.
All right, our next one, volcanic eruption. Volcanoes are mountains that open inward to the molten rock below the Earth's surface. Volcanoes and mountains are formed in a similar way, which is why some volcanoes are called mountains as well, like Mount St. Helens. They can cause other disasters such as mudslides, avalanches, floods, tsunamis, earthquakes, and rock falls. The effect that it has a positive effect in that it can create a new soil like in Hawaii, like we just learned with primary succession. It can send gases into the air, which adds to the greenhouse effect.
What's the greenhouse effect, Ms. King?
And the greenhouse effect is how we are losing, through pollution, holes into our ozone area, which causes the sunlight to come in stronger than we need it to, which is why we have damaged skin cells. And that, I mean, that's pretty much a key point, is that it can have too much sunlight for us. It can cause the earth to cool by making the gases reflect the sunlight and absorb the heat. And lastly, the lava destroys anything in their path. You may have heard of volcanic eruptions that completely wiped out entire cities, like Mount Vesuvius, completely destroyed the city that was living near it. If you've not heard of it, go look it up.
All right, another one is a blizzard. And right now we have blizzards going on all across the country in the middle states right now. A blizzard is a severe snowstorm, and it's usually accompanied by high winds, blowing snow, and very, very, very cold temperatures. Of course, it can cause frostbite and hypothermia in humans and in animals if it gets so cold. How does it affect an ecosystem? Heavy snow can build up on trees. They can make trees fall over. When it melts, massive amounts of flooding can take place once the snow melts and destroy ecosystems. Plants and trees rarely survive extremely cold temperatures. They die. Number 4, they may cause animals to get stranded without food or water, so animals can die in the ecosystem as well as plants and animals and humans as well.
All right, our next one, and our final one, is the drought. A drought occurs where there's an extended period for months or even years where there's little to no rainfall, whether it's on the surface, like rain, or underground, like groundwater. It can have a severe effect on the ecosystem because it can reduce water quality, because lower waterfall reduces the cleaning pollutants so that the pollutants actually move into the water supply. It leads to the erosion of soil. It can cause wildfires and dust storms because everything's so dry that it's easily caught on fire. The migration of animals will cause, because they have to go find water and find something to drink, and oftentimes even snakes migrate at that time, and if they move into your area, you're more susceptible to snake bites. And it can cause habitat damage because the trees will not have enough water, and it will cause the animals living in the trees to need to go find somewhere else to live.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching Coach King and I. We hope you're enjoying our flipped classroom.
Yes.
Make sure you do everything in the folder.
Yes.
And take good notes. And we're going to add, a few things in there. So click on everything and be prepared. This will be due on Wednesday, and we'll see you Wednesday.
Yep. Good luck.